Remember back in November when Donald Trump won the election and Elise Stefanik was one of the first people he tapped for his second administration. We and everyone else reported that there'd be a special election here in the North Country by now to replace her. Well, because of politics, Stefanik hasn't even been confirmed as ambassador to the UN yet, and a special election is still months away. So Republicans are holding off on naming their candidate. But Democrats came out of the gate quick with their choice. We meet congressional hopeful Blake Gendebien on today's Story of the Day.
Support for Story of the Day comes from Pearsall Wealth Management at UBS Wealth Management USA, subsidiary UBS AG, member FINRA SIPC, 1 Broad Street Plaza, Glens Falls. And the New York State Caregiving and Respite Coalition, seeking volunteers aged 55 plus to support family caregivers in northern and central New York. Visit nyscrc.org/AmeriCorps.
Hey, I'm David Sommerstein. It's Monday, March 17th. Happy St. Patrick's Day to those who celebrate. First up, a college student from Canton is now a national champion in indoor track. The junior from St. Lawrence University came from behind in the mile race to earn gold over the weekend. Emily Russell has details.
Nicholas Lindeker was ranked second in the mile going into Saturday's race. He was up against 8 other men from around the country at the Division III Indoor Track National Championships in Rochester.
The pace right now is not so hot that it's really cracking this field open. We have one athlete that's sort of struggling to hang on to the back, but otherwise every other athlete is in this.
An indoor track is a lot smaller than an outdoor one, so it takes 8 laps to make a mile. Lindeker hung back for the first few laps and then pushed ahead to 4th place for much of the mile.
But do not lose sight of Nicholas Lindeker on the outside there from St. Lawrence in the red shorts. But right now, we have got...
Lindeker grew up in Canton, and this is his 3rd season of indoor track for St. Lawrence University. On the final curve of the track, Lindeker started to sprint, pushing into 3rd and then propelling himself alongside the top 2 runners.
Outside, Lindeker looks very strong and poised to slingshot off the turn. Everyone going as deep as they possibly can. I can't call it. It might have been Lindeker.
The race was so close, it came down to a photo finish between the top 3. Lindeker won by just 0.03 of a second.
Nicholas Lindeker from St. Lawrence, the junior. What a shocker. Do we just call him Ricky Bobby now? That was a shake and a bake.
Lindeker's winning time in the mile was 4 minutes and 6.45 seconds. According to St. Lawrence University, Lindeker is the first track and field athlete from Canton to ever become a national champion. The university's outdoor track season begins later this month. Emily Russell, North Country Public Radio.
The road to one of the most popular trailheads in the Adirondacks is closed due to flood damage. Rain and snowmelt washed out a portion of the road to the garden parking lot in Keene Valley. Hikers and skiers use that trailhead to access much of the high peaks as well as Johns Brook Lodge. Keene's town supervisor told the Adirondack Explorer the road to the garden parking lot will likely be closed for a few days. We've known for several months that President Donald Trump wants Congresswoman Elise Stefanik to be the next UN ambassador. What we don't know is when there'll be a special election to replace her. Stefanik's nomination has yet to go before the full Senate. The word is she'll remain in the House at least through April to ensure Republicans' slim majority as they work on Trump's agenda. In the North Country, GOP chairs are waiting to select a candidate for the special election from a vast field of hopefuls. And remember, there is no primary. But Democrats have already put forward a St. Lawrence County farmer who they hope can flip the district blue. Champlain Valley reporter Kara Chapman spoke with Blake Gendebien.
Blake Gendebien says you need a farmer in the room when setting policy about rural America.
We totally understand what's going on, and we have ideas on how to fix it.
The Lisbon native, dairy farmer, and father of 3 is North Country Democrats' pick to replace Congresswoman Elise Stefanik when she resigns to become U.S. ambassador to the United Nations. Gendebien's only experience in elected office was his time as a school board member in Lisbon. He's also served as vice chair of the Agrimark Board of Directors. Gendebien calls himself a very conservative Blue Dog Democrat. His priorities, if elected, include passing a new farm bill, veterans benefits, and rural health care. The way he sees it, Washington has forgotten NY-21.
This is my neighborhood. I've raised a family here. I've started businesses here. I've supported the local school systems here. I've coached kids here. And I believe that I understand what people are going through, and I can deliver on the meaningful things that 95% of us agree on.
Gendebien says that includes immigration reform, bringing in more Border Patrol agents to secure the northern border, but also ensuring a secure, legal workforce for multiple industries.
For not just farmers, but also for the hospitality industry, for the healthcare industry, for the forestry industry, for the construction industry.
Gendebien says he believes he would have challenged Stefanik at some point, but was waiting until his youngest son graduated from high school before running for Congress. He says when the prospect of a special election came up, his family had a serious conversation about moving up that timeline.
It was a family decision. Noah said, yeah, Dad, I actually think it's okay if you miss a couple of track meets because you're running for Congress. So got the thumbs up from him and the thumbs up from my wife, Carmen, and we're all in.
Stefanik has yet to resign, which means we don't know the date of the special election to replace her. Gendebien says he and fellow Democrats wanted to give his campaign a long runway when they announced his candidacy early last month.
It's good for fundraising, it's good for name recognition, and it's good to learn and listen to what people in the North Country really need.
Gendebien's held multiple meet and greets in the district, including stops in Middleburg and Schoharie County, Hudson Falls in Washington County, and Beekmantown in Clinton County. North Country Republicans are taking a different approach. They're waiting until Stefanik resigns to announce their candidate. Susan McNeil chairs the Fulton County Republican Committee and is a regional vice chair for the state GOP. She says her party continues to interview and vet about a dozen people interested in running for Stefanik's seat. McNeil says she doesn't think waiting to put someone forward will hurt the candidate's ability to build name recognition and fundraise ahead of the election.
When you bake that cake, you don't pull it out of the oven when the timer doesn't go off. You got to wait for it to be ready. And when it's ready, we'll be ready and we'll hit the ground running.
McNeil says she has, quote, no thoughts on Gendebien and is focused on whoever the Republican candidate is. But state GOP leadership came out hard and fast against Gendebien. Within an hour of when Democrats announced him as their presumptive nominee, state GOP chair Ed Cox put out a statement highlighting comments Gendebien made in an oral history interview back in 2013. Gendebien said corrections officers who've done work on his house and farm, quote, don't have much self-worth in their jobs. He also said he bailed out a worker who was in the country illegally. And he criticized the local workforce, saying it takes two locals to do the work of one Hispanic person. Here he is in that 2013 interview, which is housed at the Library of Congress.
It's just awful. And they show up late. They show up, they drank too much. There is just no labor force out there.
Those are pretty common complaints from dairy farmers. But GOP Chair Ed Cox said Democrats, quote, didn't do their homework on Gendebien and that Republicans will easily hold the seat. According to a Library of Congress spokesperson, Gendebien had requested the interview be taken down less than a week before Democrats announced him as their pick. Gendebien says he did that because he believed people in D.C. would, quote, take things out of context, and he was proven right. The audio, transcript, and photos were offline from February 6th to the 13th. They were restored at Gendebien's request. Gendebien says it was a good interview that was meant to showcase what's happening in the North Country.
And it's just too bad that D.C. is working so hard to make sure that a real North Country resident does not make it to Congress.
Stefanik handily won re-election 5 times by double-digit margins. NY-21 is considered by many to be a solidly red district. Gendebien says the 15 Democratic county chairs chose him because they know he's the candidate who can win.
I am a pragmatic, moderate reflection of the district. I care about everyone in the district on both sides of the aisle. I will build a big tent. I am here to support everybody, and that message is going to get through.
Exactly when Gendebien will get to test that message is unclear. It'll depend on when the Senate votes on Stefanik's nomination. If she's confirmed and resigns, Governor Kathy Hochul must call the special election within about 90 days. Kara Chapman, North Country Public Radio.
We have more news all the time on our website, ncpr.org. Music today by Christopher Watts of Canton and Dan Duggan of Lake Clear. I'm David Summerstein, North Country Public Radio.